The Iron Throne is coming to the big screen, and this time, it will be forged. Warner Brothers has officially confirmed that a feature film set in the world of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire is now in active development, marking the first time the globally beloved Game of Thrones franchise will make its leap from television to cinema. The announcement has sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, reigniting a fanbase that has never truly gone cold since the original HBO series concluded in 2019. At the center of the project is Beau Willimon, the acclaimed writer and showrunner behind Netflix's House of Cards and one of the key creative voices on Disney+ Andor. Willimon has already submitted a first draft of the screenplay, a detail first reported by Page Six Hollywood and subsequently confirmed by multiple outlets including The Hollywood Reporter and The Times. No director has been attached to the project yet, and no cast members have been announced, but the creative foundation is clearly taking shape. The story the film intends to tell is one of the most mythologized chapters in all of Westeros lore. According to industry reports, the movie will center on Aegon I Targaryen, Aegon the Conqueror, the legendary Dragon Lord who, roughly 300 years before the events of the original Game of Thrones series, launched a campaign from the volcanic island of Dragonstone to bring 6 of the 7 kingdoms of Westeros under a single rule. Riding dragons alongside his sister wives Visenya and Rhaenys, Aegon forged the Iron Throne itself, established the Targaryen dynasty that would dominate Westeros for nearly 3 centuries, and built the city that would become the Empire's eternal capital. It is the founding myth of everything that followed, every war, every coronation, every betrayal that fans watched unfold over 8 seasons of television. The Hollywood Reporter described the film's intended scale as Dune-sized, a comparison that underscores Warner Brothers' ambitions for a project this sweeping. The Aegon's conquest story involves continent-spanning military campaigns, multiple dragons in battle, and the political unification of dozens of noble houses material that demands the canvas of a theatrical blockbuster rather than a streaming episode. Given that the studio's Game of Thrones television spin-offs have been consistently strong performers, House of the Dragon has drawn tens of millions of viewers, and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms recently pulled in 9.5 million viewers for its season finale alone. Warner Brothers has every reason to believe the franchise can command a global theatrical audience. Adding an intriguing layer of complexity to the development, HBO is simultaneously working on its own rival version of the Aegon's conquest story as a potential drama series. That means Martin's most celebrated untold chapter is being developed in 2 formats at once, raising questions about how the 2 projects will ultimately coexist or whether one will eventually yield to the other. For now, both appear to be moving forward independently, with the Warner Bros. Film positioned as a standalone cinematic event rather than a continuation of any existing television storyline. The idea of bringing Game of Thrones to theaters is not new. As far back as 2013, the original series showrunners David Benioff and Dan Weiss pitched HBO on the possibility of concluding the show with 3 feature films, drawing direct inspiration from Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings trilogy. HBO declined at the time, preferring to keep its flagship property anchored to its subscription television model. More than a decade later, with the streaming landscape transformed and theatrical event films once again proving their commercial dominance, the calculus has clearly changed. Willimon's attachment to the screenplay has been widely praised by industry observers. His background in morally ambiguous, politically layered storytelling, the very qualities that made House of Cards a prestige television landmark and Andor one of the most critically acclaimed entries in the Star Wars universe, maps directly onto what the Game of Thrones world has always done best. Aegon's conquest is not simply a story of military triumph. It is a story about the seductive and corrupting nature of power, the violence that empires require to be born, and the human cost of history written by the victorious. The project arrives, however, at one of the most uncertain moments in Warner Brothers' recent corporate history. The studio is currently in the process of being acquired by Paramount Skydance in a deal valued at approximately $110 billion. The merger, which has drawn criticism from figures including U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, who described it as an antitrust disaster, has cast a shadow of uncertainty over numerous projects currently in development at the studio. If new management takes the reins before the film moves into production, there is a real possibility that it could be shelved, restructured, or significantly altered. That said, several factors suggest the film has a stronger than average chance of surviving the transition. Paramount CEO David Ellison, when recently asked to name his favorite HBO show, cited Game of Thrones without hesitation, a signal that the franchise's cultural and commercial value is not lost on the incoming leadership. Ellison has also publicly committed to releasing 30 films theatrically once the merger is complete, meaning the combined studio will actively need major tentpole properties to fill a dramatically expanded theatrical slate. A Game of Thrones movie set against the backdrop of Aegon's conquest, written by the creator of House of Cards, is precisely the kind of project that fits that mandate. The broader Game of Thrones universe shows no signs of slowing. House of the Dragon returns for its third season this summer. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is already filming its second season in Belfast and Spain, and HBO has animated projects in various stages of development, including 9 Voyages, confirmed by Martin himself. The Royal Shakespeare Company is also bringing a live stage adaptation to Stratford-upon-Avon this summer. The one notable absence from that expanding slate is the Jon Snow sequel series, which Kit Harington confirmed was quietly abandoned in 2024 after the creative team failed to find a story worth telling. A rare stumble that proved even the franchise's most iconic characters are not immune to dead ends. What Aegon the Conqueror offers is something different. A story so foundational, so deeply embedded in the mythology that every Game of Thrones viewer has already absorbed without quite realizing it, that bringing it to life feels less like an expansion and more like a completion. Every time a character knelt before the Iron Throne, every time a Targaryen's silver hair caught the light, every time a dragon's shadow crossed a map of Westeros, it was Aegon's shadow stretching across the centuries. The film, if it reaches the screen, will finally let audiences see where it all began. The question now is whether Warner Brothers, in the middle of one of the most turbulent periods in Hollywood's recent history, can hold on to a project this promising long enough to make it happen. Given everything the franchise has survived, from divisive finales to corporate upheaval, to the quiet death of projects that once seemed inevitable, it would be unwise to count it out. What do you think is a Game of Thrones movie the bold reinvention the franchise deserves? Or does Aegon's story belong on the small screen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay ahead of every development in the world of Westeros and beyond, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story.